It's the morning star drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the morning star drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Thursday, June 10th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is going on today on this wonderful Thursday? We'll get coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, question and answer, and of course, victory rhymes by Youngse from South Africa, but a special surprise today. All right, guys, how you guys doing? You guys had an amazing Wednesday service last night. I'm sure all your head leaders did an amazing job just delivering the message, working on the message. And those of you guys who you'll get the Proverbs later, they had to work with this entire sermon with only 9 Proverbs. They did such an amazing job. So I hope that you guys will continue to encourage and make sure that your head leaders know that they are doing such an amazing job. All right, guys. So we're almost at the ending of the weekend. Hope you really enjoyed the service last night. So let's get this day started together here on the Morning Star Drive. Just want to remind everyone to keep liking and commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you are doing. So, all right. What happened a couple days ago? Yes, about 2 days ago, we had not a vlog. It was a Lab 78 live show, and I talked about ghost stories or stories about people seeing spirits that I've gone through, and also what other people have gone through too. And now all over my YouTube channel, they are writing comments of It's interesting. They're writing comments of the spirits that their ghost stories too. I've had right after this show, I had one of these people, one of the people who subscribe. They're not a member, but they're just telling me this entire story of how their cousin talks to them in their sleep after they got murdered or whatever it was. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, it seems like a very fascinating one that a lot of people are interested in. Also, this Sunday we'll be meeting a member from this person. Where are they from? Oh yeah, they are from America. They are from America, from the East Coast. Great. This is a really fun interview. I know you guys are going to enjoy this one. But from America, all the way over there in Atlanta, Georgia. So you guys are going to make sure you catch that one, of course. And this week too, we all know that it's Erica Binuahan. Right? And hers is a very, very popular Sunday edition too. So go ahead and check that one out too. All right? So let's get into today's featured artist of the day on this Thursday. Who is today's featured artist? It is PGY from PMA in South Korea. This song is called Dr. Rain. And then we have Mariah Henry from America with Paradise. And last but not least, we have Amatsu Sora from Japan. And this song is a cover of John Legend's All of Me. So I hope you guys continue to just keep praying for these member artists from around the world. And let's enjoy and make sure their music spreads everywhere.
I am Zaniac, well that's my name. I'm a 95 model, a defective robot. Oh, it's today. I have an appointment. I'm gonna meet my last moment. You
go. You gotta really show him that you want it though. He can show you where you wanna be. You gotta put in words that'll be unseen. Look, and it's just like that. Take it to the golden city just with a snap. You don't even got a trip, no, we got your back. All you gotta do is sit back and relax. There's this love between you and I that is so strong. I don't wanna ever lose it, then I'll be alone. But if I leave his arms, I wonder, I'll be sitting all alone just to ponder. Make up your mind and act as you should. I'ma show you we can be the greatest duo that ever stood. Living with the Lord every day is like my paradise. If you leave your worries and concerns to him, you'll be alright.
Really wanna live with happiness and hope. You gotta live with the one you love the most. And don't forget that even on darkest roads, just find the Lord and grab your heart. Control your deeds. A pretty paradise right from the start.
Paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
The weather's fine, the temperature's cool. 7 on earth, cause I'm with you. Ain't nothing better when we live forever. When we make us to be one true love. Birds of a feather flock together. And it's just like that. Give you my love, cause I don't hold back. Call me your love, cause I know you got stacks. This love is real, cause we got it like that. Sandy walks on the beach, summertime. Feel the heat, that's a love paradise. Holding hands, cool breeze, cloud 9. Make heaven together with you and I. Sandy walks on the beach, summertime. Feel the heat, that's a love paradise. Holding hands, cool breeze, cloud 9. Make heaven together with you and I.
Really wanna live with happiness and hope. You gotta live with the one you love the most. And don't forget that even on darkest roads, just find the Lord and grab your heart. Control your deeds. A pretty paradise right from the start.
Paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
He can take you where you wanna go.
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 He can show you what you wanna know.
He can show you what you wanna know.
I have realized I'm not alone, because living with you is like my paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me and you kicking me out. You got my head spinning, no kidding, I can't pin you down. What's going on with that beautiful mind? I'm your magical mystery ride. And I'm so dizzy to know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head in the water, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning, even when I lose the wind. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Oh. How many times do I have to tell you? Even when you're crying, you're beautiful too. The world is breathing you down. I'm alone through every mood. You're my dance floor, you're my muse, my worst distraction, my rhythm and blues. I can't stop sitting, it's breathing in my head for you. My hair's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning, even when I lose the wind. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. I'll give you all of you. Cards on the table with both showing hurt. Risking your arms, oh it's hard. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Rub your cards and on your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning, even when I lose the wind. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. I'll give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Oh.
And there it is. That's Amatsu Sora from Japan, and that song is from John Legend. That is All of Me. Before that was Mariah Henry from America with Paradise, and of course the featured artist of the day is PGY from PMA in Korea, and that song is Dr. Rain. All right, guys, so let's get into some news going on for today. It is Thursday, so let's start off with the coronavirus updates. In the world, 174.7 million cases, 3.7 million deaths at 2.15%. The U.S., 34.2 million cases, 613,000 deaths at 1.79%. India, 29 million cases, 353,000 deaths, and their mortality rate goes up 0.01% to 1.22%. Brazil, just the same, 17 million cases, 477,000 deaths, and their mortality rate jumps up to 2.8%. Argentina, 4 million cases, 82,000 deaths at 2.06%. And then Colombia rounds at the top 5 with 3.6 million cases, 92,000 deaths at 2.57%. Sweden, one of the only countries not to go full lockdown, remains at 1.34%. And Belgium used to have the highest mortality rate in the world, is at 2.34%. Now let's take a look at daily infection rates and let's see how much, what's going on. How many cases are countries getting? What are the top 5 countries per 24-hour cycle? And it's once again India on top, 91,000 cases in a day. Brazil with 52,000, Argentina with 31,000, Colombia with 18,000, and of course U.S. rounds at the top 5 with 12,000 cases in a day. They're doing really, really well. Let's take a look at Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, there is the number 1 country is Indonesia now. 6,200 cases in a day. And then it's Malaysia with 5,500, and the Philippines in third with 4,700 cases in a single day. So that means let's get into the top 3 news items for today. We're going to take a look at something called Anom. Like, what the heck is Anom? All right, so hundreds are arrested in massive global crime sting. So what's going on? So law enforcement agencies say they have arrested hundreds of criminals around the world in a 3-year operation using a secure messaging app run by the American FBI. Now, the operation, jointly conceived by Australia and the FBI, saw the app Anom secretly distributed among criminals, allowing police to monitor their conversations without their knowledge. It has led to the arrests in 18 countries. They include suspects linked to the mafia and organized criminal groups. Drugs, weapons, and cash have also been seized. Now, Australia said it had arrested 224 people as a result of the operation and had acted on 20 threats to kill, potentially saving the lives of a significant number of innocent bystanders. Now, the country's prime minister called the sting a watershed operation that had hit criminal gangs globally. And it has struck such a heavy blow against organized crime, not just in this country, but that will echo around organized crime around the world. And this is the PM Scott Morrison saying in Australia. New Zealand, which detained 35 people, called the operation the world's most sophisticated law enforcement action against organized crime to date. And the FBI and Europol will present more details later on Tuesday. So how does Anom work? So New Zealand police said that after the FBI had dismantled 2 other encryption services, it began operating its own encrypted device company called Anom. Now, devices with the chat app were distributed in the criminal underworld. So Australian police said the devices were initially used by alleged senior crime figures, giving other criminals the confidence to use the platform. Fugitive Australian drug trafficker, his name is Hakan Ayik. He was the key to the sting, having unwittingly recommended the app to criminal associates after being given a handset by undercover officers, they said. So you had to know a criminal to get hold of one of these customized phones, and the phones couldn't ring or email, and you could only communicate with someone on the same platform, the police explained. And officers were able to read millions of messages in real time describing murder plots, mass drug import plans, and other schemes. And all they talk about is drugs, violence, hits on each other, innocent people who are going to be murdered, a whole range of things. And this is what the Australian Federal Police Commissioner said at that time. Now, also, they said that Ayik was a marked man and should turn himself in. So what did the authorities uncover from this? So in Australia, police had been able to intercept drug operations and prevent incidents such as mass shootings. And Qantas, disturbed by claims of gang infiltration, more than 200 arrests in the country included members of outlaw motorcycle gangs, Australian mafia groups, Asian crime syndicates, and serious and organized crime groups. And Australian police have also seized 3 tons of drugs, which is about $35 million US in cash and assets. Right? So authorities said their sting, which they called Operation Ironside, was the nation's largest police operation and involved 4,000 police officers, and some 9,000 police officers were involved around the world. So knocking out the communications has been a key part of this disrupting the organized crime. And he said the app access had given law enforcement an edge that it had never had before, but added the platform was just one of many messaging apps favored by organized crime gangs. Now, New Zealand police said they had laid more than 900 charges in relation to the 35 people arrested, and they've seized about $2.7 million of assets. And they believe the termination of these operations will basically have significant impact on New Zealand's organized crime scene. So we can't wait to see what's happening in America and Europe, and we're going to see even more than what's happened in Europe and New Zealand. Second on the news is the IAEA urges Iran to explain uranium particles at undeclared sites. So the head of the global nuclear watchdog, deeply concerned that Iran has still not explained the presence of uranium particles at 3 undeclared sites. So Rafael Grossi told the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the IAEA, he told the IAEA member states that nuclear material or contaminated equipment had been at the locations, and the lack of progress seriously affects the ability of the agency to provide assurance of the peaceful nature of Iran's nuclear program. So Iran has insisted it is cooperating, but it is thought that possible nuclear-related activities took place at the locations in the early 2000s, long before Iran struck a deal with world powers that placed limits on its nuclear program. right? So Iran nuclear crisis, and this is the basics of Iran, okay, and the nuclear crisis over there. So world powers basically don't trust Iran, and some countries believe Iran wants nuclear power because it wants to build a nuclear bomb, and of course Iran denies this. So a deal was struck in 2015. Iran and 6 other countries reached a major agreement. Iran would stop some nuclear work in return for an end to harsh penalties or sanctions hurting its economy. So what's the problem now? Iran restarted banned nuclear work after former U.S. President Donald Trump pulled out of the deal and reimposed sanctions on Iran. Even though the new leader, Joe Biden, wants to rejoin, both sides say the others must make the first move. So Iran insists it has never sought to develop a nuclear weapon, but evidence collected by the IAEA suggests that until 2003, it conducted a range of activities relevant to the development of a nuclear explosive device. Now, in 2019, the IAEA requested that Iran answer questions about possible undeclared nuclear activities and materials. And the move came after Israel's PM, Benjamin Netanyahu, said it had obtained documents showing Iran surreptitiously continued nuclear weapons work beyond 2015. So Netanyahu also identified a secret atomic warehouse in a district of Tehran, believed to be where IAEA inspectors subsequently detected the presence of natural uranium particles of anthropogenic man-made origin. And isotopically, altered particles of low-enriched uranium. So enriched uranium is used to make reactor fuel, but also nuclear weapons. And inspectors also detected uranium particles at 2 more unidentified locations, one where there was the possible presence of natural uranium in the form of a metal disc, and another where there was possible use of storage of nuclear material and of conducting nuclear-related activities. So they're also asking questions about a 4th location where nuclear material was possibly used and stored, and where outdoor conventional explosive testing may have taken place. And after many months, Iran has not provided the necessary explanation for the presence of the nuclear material particles at any of the 3 locations, right? So, and Mr. Grossi, right, he also stated that he's deeply concerned that nuclear material has been present at the 3 undeclared locations in Iran, and that the current locations of this nuclear materials are not known by the agency, nor has Iran answered the questions with regard to the other undeclared locations, right? So last week, the head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran wrote to Mr. Grossi to assure him that it was making maximum efforts to cooperate with the agency in a substantive manner. So the IAEA's board, that is verification and monitoring activities, had been affected by Iran's decision to reduce cooperation with the agency and its latest breach of the nuclear deal in retaliation for the sanctions reinstated by the U.S. when it withdrew in 2018. So that's quite interesting to see what's happening there, that there are questions that are unanswered when it comes to the nuclear program over there in Iran. And that's, a lot of people know that there are a lot of terrorist groups that are there in Iran. They're supporting many too. So if they get their hands on nuclear weapons, that's going to be terrible. Last but not least, we're going to go over to Nicaragua. And arrests are happening. 2 more arrests happened in Nicaragua, but this is where it's kind of interesting. Nicaragua arrests 2 more possible challengers to Daniel Ortega. Okay, so authorities in Nicaragua have arrested 2 more potential presidential challengers to veteran leader Daniel Ortega in elections later this year, and Felix Maradiaga and Juan Sebastian Chamorro have been accused of terrorism and plotting against Nicaragua's sovereignty and independence, and they were held under a controversial new security law passed in December by Ortega's government. So 2 other opposition leaders have been arrested in recent days, and the U.S. branded Mr. Ortega a dictator following Tuesday's arrest. And last week, opposition leader Cristiana Chamorro was placed under house arrest for allegedly money laundering, which she denies. So on Saturday, another opposition figure, Arturo Cruz, was detained at Managua airport as he arrived from the U.S., and President Ortega, 75 years old, is seeking a 4th consecutive term in November's election. And on Tuesday, Mr. Maradiaga, who's 44, was summoned to the public prosecutor's office in Managua, and after being questioned, he left the building saying, "I'm going to stay in the running for the presidential candidacy." And according to reports, police then stopped him and his lawyer in their car. An opposition spokesman said Mr. Maradiaga had been beaten by police during the arrest and that his whereabouts were unknown. So shortly afterwards, Juan Sebastian Chamorro, a cousin of Cristiana Chamorro, was detained at his home outside Managua. Now, Separate police statements said the arrests were carried out for the same reasons, for carrying out acts that undermine independence, sovereignty, and self-determination, inciting foreign interference in internal affairs, and calling for military interventions. And the men are also accused of using financing from foreign powers to carry out acts of terrorism and destabilization. So this is what's happening over there. There's Jose Miguel Vivanco is America's director for Human Rights Watch, also took to Twitter saying that in the last 30 years, they've never seen anything like this happening. Multilateral efforts are urgently needed to stop Ortega, who's basically arresting anyone who's against him. So the charges stem from a law passed in just the past December, that targets those who ask for, celebrate, and applaud the imposition of sanctions against the Nicaraguan state. And its backers say it is to defend Nicaragua's sovereignty against hostile foreign influence, but critics say it is designed to stop opposition politicians from standing in the election. So the U.S. and the European Union have both imposed sanctions against Mr. Ortega and his government, and a lot of people are being held in pretrial detention while prosecutors investigate allegations of provocation and conspiracy to commit harm to national integrity. So you see where this is going. It's basically the same thing that happens in any other country that has a dictatorship or authoritarian, regime, right? So yeah, best of hope to Nicaragua. I hope that a lot of countries step in so that there will be a lot more safety when it comes to sovereignty and democracy in each country. All right. So that is the top 3 news for today. I hope you guys really got a glimpse of what's happening all around the world, which means it brings us back to a time of a little bit more spiritual time. And I think this is needed, right? After hearing news, sometimes it's just like, like you feel like you're drained of your spirit. But we're going to have a time of spiritual rejuvenation, and we're going to have praise and worship. So we're going to start off with Life of Heaven, and then we're going flying on the wind of the Holy Spirit. And then, of course, we'll end off with not an oldie but a goodie, but one of my favorites. It's My Confession to the Lord. So as one body of the Morning Star Drive, I hope all of us here will give glory, praise, and honor to the Holy Trinity.
The Lord, we fulfill the rapture here on earth, and it's a life of heaven.
Everything God created in this whole world, the earth, sea, and sky, it's heaven on earth. Wherever we are, if we serve the Lord, if we live as one, it becomes heaven on the earth. Everything God following God's purpose. That is why I run. That is why I run. Life is great, awesome and fun, running with her, following where the Spirit leads, chasing her. I am on my way. I am here, the Holy Spirit reminds me I will always be right here next to you. I will never leave your side. Therefore, do not forget, think of me. That's what she always says. People though, they live their lives changing all the time. They don't really keep their promises. Though they may say that they'll think of her first in their life day to day, forgetting all that they live their own way. You and I both, even today, let's take action with the thoughts of the Lord. That's the joy we gain as we act with the Holy Spirit. I recall when I first met you, my Lord, how I made up my mind, how I decided I would learn from you only, focusing on this word alone. I have seen how you really live your life. I have seen for myself. Now I will not be shaken, whatever comes. I have seen you, Lord, so how could I share? I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You've become my everything. I've given all my life to you. Please use me according to your way. When I saw the Almighty shine through you, I got down on my knees. Surely the Trinity are working through you. I confess to you through these burning tears. I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You've become my everything. lived under what you preach. I can testify that all these things are true. I preach with the spirit of truth. I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You've become my everything. I've given all my life to you. Please use me according to your will. I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You're the only one I love. There's no one else, there's nothing more. I love you, so please receive my love. You're the only one I love. There's no one else, there's nothing more. I love you, so please receive my love.
And there it is. That is my confession to the Lord. Of course, before that was Flying on the Winds of the Holy Spirit. And last but not least, it is Life of Heaven. I hope you guys really enjoyed that time of praise and worship together. Kind of, what's that word? It kind of relieves your heart. It's almost like if your heart is like a balloon and it's just got too much air ready to burst, it's like kind of letting that air out, and it kind of relaxes your heart again. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed that time of praise and worship too. So today, guys, everyone, it is Thursday. So on Thursdays for our word study, we do some question and answer. And I got a couple good questions today. And the first one comes to when we're lecturing people, especially today, and especially when you're looking in certain places like Europe and America, there is something what you call cancel culture. It's a very, very interesting thing because people will hold others accountable to things in the past. And the reason I'm not bringing this up to be political or anything like that. This is more about when people might look at the things that God did in the past. Like, for instance, when Sunstein talked about Sunstop, people will look at the stuff in the past and say, well, look, God did this like 3,000 years ago, right? 3,400, 500 years ago. So that means God is still wicked today, kind of thing. You know, and that's what cancel culture is. You take a look at the things that people did in the past and you look at them through the lens of how people look at things today, right? And you know that it's a very, very dangerous thing. Because if something was acceptable in the past, and of course, even though it's not acceptable, some things, right? If you look at it from the lens of today, where the people's thoughts are different and things are okay or things are not okay today, then it makes it a little bit difficult to judge people way back then. And when it comes to judging people, also, like the first question you might want to give to someone is, like, let's just take a look at Providence in general, or even like Christianity in general. If someone used to be a bad person, a gangbanger, right? A gangster, whatever it is, beat up people, extortion, whatever it is, okay? Or God forbid, let's just say they're a murderer. So I remember even in Christianity, you'd have these people who come on stage and give testimonies that they were murderers, and then they went to prison, and then they found Christ, and they asked Jesus to forgive them of their sins and all these other different things. And then what would happen is they would all of a sudden give these testimonies of how they gave their life to Christ. Now, if cancel culture was actually inside the Christian church, then they would never accept this person and you would never hear their testimonies. Actually, that's talking about Paul. So Paul was someone who made a great change where he was killing Christians in the past, and then he accepts Christ, and then he becomes someone who is like the one spearheading Christianity all over the Roman Empire. So does that mean that we're going to take a look at Paul and say, well, Paul, your past life was like this? And I don't care if you came to Christ or not. That's what you did in your life. So you're no longer accepted. You're canceled, right? And if you look at it, we have to look at the way God does things. God is looking at things as in, if you make a mistake in the past and you're sincere and you ask for forgiveness and God forgives you, it's wiped off the books. And for us, thank God. Because think about this. How many times have you made a mistake and repented for the same sin? Honestly, guys, how many times have you repented for the same exact sin? The answer is plenty. Plenty of times we've had these sins that we couldn't get over, and we ask for forgiveness, we cry, and then months later we do it again. And then months later we do it again. And it takes time for us to get over it, right? And we have to kind of show, if people, obviously if someone is too deep into like the cancel culture, you can't really teach them because they're going to think everything like, oh, God is bad because at the time of Joshua, he told everyone to kill everyone. Right? To kill and go to war. How could God say he wants to go to war and say he's a loving, peaceful God? Well, if it's a normal person, of course, how do we answer? We answer as in God works with people according to the level of the human beings at that time. And for instance, back in the days of Joshua, it's not like, hi, I've been in slavery for 400 years, and this is actually my home here in Canaan. So I know you guys have been living here for a couple hundred years now, but I'm going to have to ask you to move. I'm sorry. Like, that's not going to work. Back then, you have to fight for it, right? And even if you look, even as the 20th century, that's World War I. People trying to conquer other people's lands, right? That's World War I. That's what Hitler was doing at that time. So even if you think about that, it's the same thing. Is it World War I, World War II? Hitler was World War II? I'm sorry. I've completely lost my... Yeah, it's one of the two, right? Hitler was in World War I. Okay, he's World War I. Is it World War II? Okay. Oh, yeah, it's World War II. Okay, it's World War II. Okay? So here's the interesting thing. So after, Hitler was in World War II, and, they're trying to conquer the world, literally trying to conquer other countries by fighting with them. So it wasn't even like 100 years ago, because that's like 1935 to 1945 or what it was, 1944 to 1945, 46, right? Which means that we're looking at not even 100 years ago that people were still trying to conquer land through fighting. Right? It was. Even before that, you had the Crusades, and you had all these wars and battles happening over religion all the time. So if you think about 3,500 years ago, there's no such thing as like someone has a deed to the land. So now that I have this piece of paper, this contract that I signed, you have to give my land back. And back in those days, that was the level of their thinking, the level of their thoughts, and God has to work according to their thoughts. Right? That's how it makes sense. Just think about when Jesus tried to bring women to equals with men when he first came, talking to a woman, the Samaritan woman by the well. He was making everyone equal at that time. However, because the people weren't ready, even though he brought the truth, they still weren't able to accept women as equals. And that woman's movement didn't even come to the 20th century, if you think about that too. So that's like 1,900 years later. That's like over 900. That's 1,900 years later where people are finally able to accept it. So you have to kind of look at it how God has to work with the people at their level. And at that time of Joshua, war was the thing they had to do, right? So, that's something that we really have to understand is when we teach them, God has to work to the level of human beings, just as a professor works at the level of the students. Even if the professor is a triple PhD, has astrophysics, when he meets first-year university physics students, he's not going to teach the triple PhD things. He's going to just talk about the basics of physics. Why? It's their level that they have to come down to. So, that's how we explain how God, went to war and did all these other different things in the past, because it's according to human level and human history. Now, when it comes to the cancel culture part, we do have to think about that even in Providence. If the cancel culture was in Providence, which should never happen, because imagine you're someone who did something wrong in Providence, and then God Sunsteamer, God forgives you, and then they keep bringing it back. Well, don't you remember? That's like, I thought you forgave me. Yeah, but you still did it. That's not really even forgiveness anyways. None of us would want to live in a place like that. There would be no love. Imagine someone who, I'm sure many people were not very good at pre-dawn in the beginning. right? In the beginning, they might not have been very good, but imagine you're good now, but everyone treats you and blames you like the way you were in the past. Well, I don't care if you do good now. Like 15 years ago, you were terrible at pre-dawn, and they looked at you and they canceled you like, no, you can't be a pastor because the first 4 years of Providence, you were bad at pre-dawn. But you're like, but the next 11 years, I was fine. But that doesn't matter because your first 4 years were terrible. So you can't be a pastor. What? Like, it doesn't make any sense, and it's completely ungodly because that means there's no such thing as, forgiveness, like true forgiveness. So it is a bit difficult in some areas, especially when cancel culture is such a big, major thing. But we do have to realize we have to try and teach people according to their levels, but knowing that if the person is way too strong with cancel culture, you can't really do anything about it, right? And it's a standard, a cancel culture standard is too high for anyone to uphold that they're basically going to end up eating their own. Mainly that everyone's going to get caught with something. It doesn't matter who you are. So that's the first question that I was thinking about someone was giving me. What was the second? I just wrote the second question down. The second question was about, oh gosh, I forgot the second question. I might have to do that one next week. Let me just check to see what the second question is. Okay, so okay. So, okay, I got it. Okay, second question was about Israel and the Jews, and it's a very tough question because teaching about, one of the things I do when it comes to times, and half of times, you do have to teach that there is a new chosen nation, that Israel failed and they couldn't accept their Messiah, and because of that, they were not able to, they were no longer, they were punished or whatever it is, right? And this is also something that people do have to be careful of because especially in like America and maybe Europe too, you could be called someone who is an anti-Semite or someone who's against the Jews, right? So when it comes to anti-Semitism, it is a very sensitive thing, especially in America, Canada, Europe, and stuff. I'm not sure about other countries though, and of course Israel, right? And one of the questions is, how do we teach about like the Israel no longer being the chosen people? And for my, I would definitely say that you don't focus on the punishments they're receiving, right? But I just focus on because they couldn't receive the Messiah. Right? They couldn't receive the Messiah, and because of that, the chosen nation or that blessing was given to another nation instead. And of course, I would use Matthew 21:33-43, which is the parable and the story that Jesus used to show people that the chosen people have been changed. Like it'll no longer stay with Israel, but go to another nation that will be able to provide its fruit. Right? So. Provide notes like give the fruit at the time of the harvest, and Jesus basically says, yes, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to another country, right? So even there, you see that there is another country that will get it, so that a lot of people will not think that, oh my gosh, like a lot of Christians still think that Jesus will come again from Israel, and that we know is obviously untrue. But we need to prove it that first that they are not the chosen people, that it's been taken away from them, given to another people. So I would focus not on the punishments or what bad stuff they're going through. I focus a lot more on their mistake and Jesus saying that it was taken away from them. So, and the reason why this comes up a lot because of the big war, the fighting that just happened in the Gaza Strip just recently with the Palestinians. And I do suggest that a lot of you guys go out, especially want to understand what happened during that time with the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian and Israel conflict. Go ahead and take a look at, look in the history books of why it's like that way, and you'll have a better understanding, right? And then you'll see why both sides are not happy about this, okay? So those are my two questions, the Q&A questions of the day. I hope that kind of helped you guys out with what's going on and the questions that a lot of lecturers are asking and people are asking too, which means we are at the end of the word study for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed this one, which means we're going to get into the song of choice. What is today's song of choice? It is Thursday, and I'm now officially calling Thursday Boy Band Thursday. Yes, and this is my second favorite boy band of all time. It is 98 Degrees. Those of you guys don't know, that's Nick Lachey. He was married to Jessica Simpson for a little bit. He had his own TV show, like a reality TV show. But 98 Degrees is Nick Lachey is the lead singer, and this song is called My Everything. So it's one of these love songs, and of course you can think about the Lord when you hear this song, right? This is 98 Degrees with My Everything.
The loneliness of nights so long, the search for strength to carry on. My every hope had seemed to die. My eyes had no more tears to cry. Then like the sunshine from up above, you surrounded me with your endless love. And all the things things I couldn't see are now so clear to me. You are my everything, nothing your love will bring. My life is yours alone, the only love I've ever known. Your spirit pulls me through when nothing else will do. Every night I pray on bended knee that you will always be my everything. Now all my hopes and all my dreams are suddenly reality. You've opened up my heart to feel a kind of love that's truly real, a guiding light that'll never fade. There's not a thing in life that I would ever trade for the love you give that I won't let go. I hope you'll always know you are my everything, nothing your love will bring. My life is yours alone, the only love I've ever known. Your spirit pulls me through when nothing else will do. Every night I pray on bended knee that you will always be my everything. Oh, you're the breath of life in me, the only one that sets me free. And you have made my soul complete for all time, for all time. My everything. My life is yours alone. Your spirit pulls me through when nothing else will do. Oh, I pray on my knees. You will always be my everything. Nothing your love will do. My life is yours alone. Only love I've ever known. Don't you know? Spirit pulls me when nothing else will do. Every night I pray down on bended knee that you will always be my everything. Oh, my everything.
And that is 98 Degrees with My Everything on this Boy Band Thursday. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That is my second favorite boy band of all time. Of course, my first one is Backstreet Boys. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed that. Yes, that brings me back all the way to the early 90s, which leads us, this is Thursday, guys, which means we have our special segment time, and this is a special segment. I'm going to tell you why. Because we usually listen to Victory Rhymes by Youngse from South Africa, but today, a special surprise, so everyone listen up and you'll get the surprise when you hear today's program of Victory Rhymes. So let's welcome, I'm not going to say, here's the hint. I'm not going to welcome someone. I'm just going to say, this is Victory Rhymes.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Victory Rhymes, where you can hear the poetry written by the amazing people of this history. You might be thinking, hey Youngse, did your voice change? Well, unfortunately, Youngse is not able to present this week's Victory Rhymes because she got laryngitis. So this week, I'm standing in for her. My name is Annika. I'm also South African and currently living in South Korea and working as an English teacher. This week, I will share a poem with you that I wrote during the week the message came out about Find the Lost Sheep. When I took a moment to think about my past life, I was so overwhelmed with so much joy and happiness, knowing that I was once the lost sheep that was found and brought to this amazing history. I was so ignorant, so I walked the worldly path, the path that seemed greener, but was only leading to the domain of death. Only when I was grabbed by the Lord through His powerful word was I able to open my eyes and walk the path of eternal life. I am so grateful and thankful that my shepherd came and rescued me and brought me home. So I will share my poem called Lost Sheep with you now. Once I was a lost sheep, wandering all around, not knowing where to belong. The grass of the world always seemed greener, further and further away from the leader. Full of ignorance, I followed the trail of the world until I was lost and somewhere unknown. My shepherd came to notice and soon came searching until he found the lost sheep and brought it back to where it belongs. That was the poem I wrote called Lost Sheep. It really makes me think of what Sangsing said in this week's Sunday message, that through having absolute faith, even if it's as small as a mustard seed, we can get out of our own Egypt and cross over the Red Sea by absolutely believing in the Lord's word and taking action. I am so grateful for the big miracle God did in my life of bringing me out of Egypt and to this amazing history, just like a shepherd brings home the lost sheep. Well, that brings us to the end of today's Victory Rhyme segment. It has been so fun for me to present today's Victory Rhyme segment. It was my first time ever doing something like this. This is the year of new things, so what a better time to try something new. Next week, Yongse will be back again with another segment of Victory Rhymes. Everyone, I hope you have a great day with the Lord. I'm Annika. Goodbye.
And there you go. Thank you so much, Annika, for filling in for Youngse. What an awesome show, and you did a great job. And of course, our prayers go out to Youngse for the laryngitis she has, and hope that she can have a speedy and quick recovery. Oh, good job, Annika. Maybe you should start thinking about another program to put on this show too. I would love to hear you on another program too. All right, guys, that is the last segment for today on this Thursday. Everyone have an amazing end of this week, and then we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.